So last night, the Las Vegas Aces lost again. And for a team that has as much star power, that has A'ja Wilson at the top of her game, they are struggling. Like, they're 5-3, and they lost quite comfortably to the Seattle Storm. So anyway, before we get on, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 7,000 subscribers as soon as possible. A huge thank you guys for all the support in the channel recently. It has actually been crazy. Like, this channel's been doing so much better than I expected, and big thank you to everybody for all the support recently. But anyway, now let's get on to the video. Like, the Seattle Storm, I've said it, they're a team that are legitimately in with a shot of winning it all, especially because Skylar Diggins Smith, I keep calling her that, calling her Skylar Diggins, either way, you know who I'm talking about, but like, Skylar Diggins has been one of the better guards in the league for the last decade. Obviously, didn't play for 20 months, missed last season on maternity leave, started off this season pretty terribly by her standard, and is now starting to look like one of the best guards in the league. You add Magbador, who's a really, really tall center who can average on any given night 15 of 15. She had 14 of 15 last night, and can also shoot the 3-ball. You've got Jewel Lloyd, probably the best guard in the league. And then you've got also Vivians, who's fine. You got Neko Wumake. And like, even Wickham coming off the bench will at least be a solid player. So they're really, really good. And I mean this, they are real good. As far as the team are concerned, like, they can beat anyone on their day. But it does seem like when it comes to the Aces, they've lost a lot of games where you're just like, if a team plays well, they seem to beat them. And like, A'ja Wilson gave you 30 and 11 or 29 and 11. She still shot the ball 20 times and had 14 free throws. So like, she's shot 40% from the field on entirely twos other than one, which isn't a great percentage, I will say. As far as true shooting, that's not great. Albeit she's shot the lights out from the free throw line. And like, look, it was a good game. A good game for Wilson. Kelsey Plum was alright, but like, Jackie Young was terrible. And I mean, that's the worst game I've seen her play in all year. I've watched almost all the Aces games because they seem to never play. And that was like maybe her worst game of the year. And I do also want to make a point that, like, as well as Jillian Hayes has been doing, as far as, why do I keep calling her Jillian Hayes? That is not her name. Oh my god, what is her name? Tiffany Hayes. Jeez, who is Jillian Hayes? I can keep calling her that. Jillian Hayes is another basketball player. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. She's a basketball player. Okay, cool. That is why that is the mix up there. But Tiffany Hayes, as well as she's been doing stats-wise, it seems like they look better. The team looks best when Kate Martin is on the floor. And that is a crazy thing to say. That is an actual crazy thing to say. Is like, this is a team that is stacked with all-stars. You got Tiffany Hayes, who is an all-star. You've got like Jackie Young, who's an all-star. You've got Kelsey Plum, who's an all-star. You've got Clark, who's not an all, like, is Clark? Surely Clark's not an all-star, is she? Surely she's not. But she's very solid. Like, Alicia Clark is very, very, very solid. No, not an all-star. But again, obviously 36 years old. She's getting on in age. But they're just a stacked team. They're a super team. And obviously when Chelsea Gray comes back, they're going to be hard to beat. But it is, like, so funny looking at them. Or looking at this team where it's like, they looked best last night when Gustafson and Kate Martin were on the floor. They look better with Kate Martin. And it was a really bad coaching call, I felt, from Becky Hammond. Like, they were down big, and they pulled it back once with Martin on the floor. And they were down big again, and they pulled it back in the fourth, with Kate Martin hitting that turnaround jump shot to make it a 1-point game, with like 6 minutes to go or something. And then they go and take Kate Martin off the floor, and the Storm pull it away. And it's a lot to be said for, like, lineups that necessarily work and depending on the game. And I get it. You can't just, no matter how bad she's playing, you can't just sit Jackie Young. Like, you can't just sit her, because she is, look, she is probably been one of the better point guards in the league this year. She was leading the WNBA in assists at one stage. So you can't just sit her, but it does. I'm not saying that it was obviously Coach Becky Hammond lost the game, maybe in hindsight looking back on it, but it just shows how important Kate Martin is for a team and just how important glue guys are in general for the sport of basketball. Like, Kate Martin has come in and has made a huge impact. She is not the third best rookie in the WNBA. Let me be very clear on that. That was the craziest stat ever, saying she was 3 spots better than Caitlin Clark. That was the craziest article I've ever read. But she's exceptionally good at what her role is. Like, she is a superstar in her role, which is to do very little, which is just to be a connector piece, to make sure the team functions properly. Like, to make sure everything just keeps going. And she doesn't need the ball. She doesn't really do anything dumb ever with the ball. She took 0 shot. Or she took, was it 1 shot? She took 1 shot? No, she took 2 shots. But she came up with 4 boards. She got an assist. And she was also guarding Skylar Diggins. She was guarding Jewel Lloyd. And she was one of the better defenders. So that was one of my takeaways from the game, being like, look, you win some, you lose some. But this is a team that has so much star power that sometimes you need that connector piece. Like, I would consider, like, look, if Chelsea Gray is going to come in and start, if she's going to come in and start, and you're not going to start Clark, and you're going to play like a Kelsey Plum or a Young kind of at the 3, and you're going to run a 3 guard setup, I would consider starting Kate Martin. I think Kate Martin brings more to the team than Clark does, just as far as just being a connector piece. I think that lineup with Kate Martin in the team looks better than the lineup with her not in the team, which is crazy because she might average 3 points a game. I just feel that when you have so many superstars on a team, you just kind of need players that complement the stars, the players that complement the superstars. And I'm not sure there's a better like player that complements a bunch of superstars as well as Kate Martin in the whole WNBA. Angel, like, I'm not joking when I say Angel Reese, depending on the team, could be in that conversation. I'm trying to think of who else in that like real complimentary would help out any sort of stars that I've seen. Obviously nobody in the Fever. Like, there are really good players that could play that role. Like, Alyssa Thomas could literally just help anyone look better at basketball. She's that good. What's her name? Like someone like Eleni Hamilton, because of her defense for New York. But I just genuinely do think when it comes to the Las Vegas Aces that the more Kate Martin plays with this current lineup, the better they're going to look. Obviously, when Chelsea Gray comes back, you just outclass teams with Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, and AJ Wilson. You just outclass teams with that lineup, and there's no way a team is going to be able to compete. But like, for the minute, like, they're 5-3, they seem to be struggling a little bit. And regardless of, and this is also with like Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, and AJ Wilson averaging high in points, and AJ Wilson having her best individual start to the season ever. She's had one of the best individual starts ever, but the team is 5-3. So I think something needs to change, and I actually do think that bringing Kate Martin into that starting lineup is going to would end up being that change, if I'm being honest. So anyway, yeah, that is the video, lads. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.